Hello YouTube, welcome back to the series. I hope you guys have had a wonderful beginning to the new year like myself. But let's not waste too much time and get onto the video. Last episode we obtained a wife, but we're basically left without any savings. However, since the marriage was arranged, we decided to grant Obera a bit of time before making her join us. In the meantime, we would begin to explore Westeros and attempt to recuperate some of our lost funds. Trading allows us to kill both proverbial birds in a single act, and I'll once again let you guys know how to make money if you happen to find yourself around this area. Sunspear will be the new intersection of our trading route. Here, you will find some of the cheapest, but still high in quality, olives and oil. These will be your main exports, but if you are heading towards Plankytown, then fish can prove to be quite profitable. In Plankytown, you will find an abundance of grain, beer, and leather to sell back at the Dornish capital. You can also head to the neighboring kingdom of the Stormlands. The port of Weebentown can provide affordable grain and beer, but the more lucrative merchandise will be found at Evanfall Hall a little further north. On the island, you will find cheap hardwood, salt, wool, and more. Unfortunately, they seem to be thriving economically and in no need of imports, apart from maybe horses. By the way, you can find inexpensive mounts to sell them at Sunspear. While exploring, we run into a caravan carrying a familiar banner. It was one of a crowned stag within a heart, both surrounded by a blaze of orange fire, the symbol of our enemies, Dragonstone. Apparently, the nearby settlement of Cape Wrath belongs to the faction, and so the trading convoy believed they were following a safe route. Now, usually, I try to leave caravans alone in the hopes that the others will do the same to the ones under our name. Unfortunately for this group, my small horde was getting tired of slaughtering only bandits and were itching to fight any properly trained foe. Furthermore, the encounter reminded us of our original goal in coming to these strange lands, helping Daenerys in her war. The queen was paying us to hinder the enemy, so we pursued the group until they were cornered in a small peninsula. Before the battle, we were surprised to learn that Joffrey Baratheon, ruler of King's Landing, was part of the Dragonstone faction. During the skirmish, we were able to personally take down 12 of the guards. Our spirits were raised by our small victory until we realized that another force, under the command of David Seaworth, was hot on our heels. Knowing that a battle with him would have been sure defeat, we escaped to a nearby neutral city to sell our loot and began to ponder our next move. It was around this time that we reached Clan Tier 2 and were now able to become a vassal for any faction. I first considered bending the knee to Daenerys Targaryen, but I noticed that the war between her and the Dragonstone faction was one in paper only. Their borders were simply too far apart, and the only casualties of the conflict were those resulting from the battle between us and the small caravan. In the end, we decided to send a raven to Daenerys, letting her know that we were relinquishing our mercenary contract. Dorne was the only logical option for us, and exactly 1 in-game year since our journey began, we became a vassal. Our first course of action as part of Dorne would be to scout out the enemy position. On the way there, and to our surprise, we noticed a caravan with Mir's banner attempting to enter Westeros. I mentioned before how caravans usually receive our mercy, but we attacked this one simply based on its audacity of trying to sneak around the capital. We outnumbered them 3-2, so taking care of the party proved to be a fairly simple ordeal. We did receive a small number of casualties, but this blow was softened by our nearly acquired loot and prisoners, and so we decided to continue on with our reconnaissance. Just off the coast of Essos, we noticed Mir's main army. Consisting of over 10 times the number of our personal troops, they proved to be an impenetrable obstacle for our small warband. On the other hand, I was glad to know they didn't dare attempt any offensive maneuvers and were simply holding a defensive position out of fear. Desiring to sell the spoils of our recent battle, we resumed trading around the southern areas of Westeros and sent a raven to Obera, letting her know to meet us at Evanfall Hall. We were finally able to embrace our wife, and while conducting some business on the island, we noticed she was carrying an exquisitely crafted weapon. we convinced her to let us borrow the remarkable piece of armament by promising to learn the way of the spear. She would, in turn, learn to shoot from horseback. After a few more days of trading, we realized we hadn't spent an entire night together with our wife since the wedding ceremony over a month ago. We made sure to spend that night together, and I told her of my ambitions to one day rule over the biggest kingdom the world had known. She understood, but also let us know that she was not really a person to be tied down. Eventually, we came to a compromise. She would be able to roam the world at the head of a caravan and get experience leading troops so that one day she could command armies alongside ourselves. This increased the number of trading convoys we had to 5, and thus we're beginning to have a substantial amount of passive income, but nowhere near the amount needed to maintain a military force capable of conquering us a kingdom. The best method of using our money would be to invest in workshops to further increase our passive income. Deciding that those in the capital would be the best protected, we soon began to acquire profits from a linen weavery, an olive press, and a smithy. It soon seemed that our ventures in commerce had led to the nearby cities reaching an equilibrium in the price of goods. For the time being, we would instead turn towards the war with Myr. We now had ample streams of passive income, so it was time to seek glory and renown in the battlefields. Furthermore, our finances would increase from the prisoners of war and spoils of battle. Currently, it seemed neither side was willing to make any hasty moves. Knowing that most of Myr's army was still protecting the southern entrance to Essos, we decided to pull a tactic straight out of our history books. We mimicked Hannibal's crossing of the Alps and crossed the narrow sea all the way at Celtigar Keep, landing north of Pentos. Nonetheless, we were in no real rush, and so we took our time, making sure to trade with the towns, participate in all the tournaments, and engage with any bandit parties along the route. All in all, it took us a few weeks to reach our new hunting grounds. Once we found ourselves near Myr-controlled territory, we finally began to flex our combat muscles by taking on any party unfortunate enough to cross our paths. Here, we learned firsthand that Myr had hired mercenaries, as our first battle was with a religious group contracted by our position, the Faith Militant. I'll let you guys enjoy the battle and see how we showed them that the protection of the Seven pales in comparison to the might of those chosen by the Great Stallion.
Forward! Cavalry! Forward! Horse archers! Move! Everyone! Archers! Forward! Cavalry! Everyone, charge!
Not the cleanest of victories, as there were a couple of tactical mistakes, but I was pleased to see minimal casualties since we were actually outnumbered 3-2. To commemorate our first true victory of the war, we decided to take their leader prisoner. 2 days later, we ran into our first lord, Ariel Rigor. Once again, we were outnumbered, and I'll let you guys watch this battle as well since, like I mentioned, it is the first time we face an actual battle.
Stay close! Attack!
Of course, we win, but this time we do not take the commander prisoner. Instead, we choose to increase our charm levels by raising relationships. And who knows, maybe one day he will lead troops under our own banner. Furthermore, by letting him go, we ensure prey remains available for us in the future. We then continue on this solitary campaign deep into the enemy territory, and I'll show you guys a quick compilation of some of our victories.
Victory is ours!
After a couple of weeks of only fighting Myr and its mercenaries, including the Sons of the Harpy, we basically doubled our wealth, and more importantly, almost tripled our influence. We have now made our name known not only to the enemy, but to the Lords of Dorne as well. Anyways, this is where we will call it an episode. To summarize our progress, we reached Clan Tier 2, became a vassal, acquired 3 production shops in the Dornish capital, and increased the number of trading convoys we owned to 5. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I promise the series only gets better from here on out. I'm not sure when the next episode will come out. I'm kind of always busy, but I'll give you guys a sneak peek of what you can look forward to. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.